How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're starting Daf Kuf Chav Daled, Daf 124 of Masechta BavaBasra, friends. Alright, well, okay, today we're going to get to some stuff about the firstborn son and getting the double portion. So we have a bit of work to do on Daf Kuf Chav Gimel Amud Beis and Azoi. Alright. So we're going to start on Daf Kuf Chav Gimel Amud Beis, 2 lines before it gets wide. Taner Rabbanan de Rabbi Bachor Notopi Shnayim Bezor V'Chayim V'Keva. Oh. Who can tell me what Zor L'Chayim V'Keva is? Zor L'Chayim V'Keva is that when an animal is slaughtered, so the I guess one of the forearms, the jaws, and the stomach is given to the priest, to the kohen. So if you have a kohen dies and his children inherit him, and he has the Gemara is going to talk about exactly what's the circumstances, but be'etzem he was entitled to the Zohar L'Chayim B'Keva, and the children inherit that. The firstborn gets a double portion in that. Uv'mukdashin, as well as if they inherit hektish. Again, we're going to have to explain what that means. Uv'shvach sheshibchu nechasam nacham misa safi, and this is going to be a theme that's going to be coming up. And if they, if they inherit their father's property, and the property increases in value, so the estate, right? So the children inherit, right? So that increased value after the father dies, and his estate increases in value. It increases for the children, right? The children now get that extra value, and just like the firstborn received a double portion in the estate, the firstborn also receives a double portion in any increased value to the estate as well. And we're going to we're going to say it's taka machlekes. Okay, fine. Alright. Ketzad, okay, tell me more. If their father left for them a pare, a cow, muchkeres and muskeres. So I believe muchkeres is, it's interesting. I think when it comes to a field, we have a visitor. Who is this? Oh, it's my mom. This is weird. My mom's on the recording, but my mom also listens to the recording.
I know.
So it's very Facebook. Yeah.
Did you eat the sweet potato and cauliflower?
I ate sweet potato. I didn't know there was
the one from the other night left over. I can't find the sweet potato and cauliflower from the other night.
I don't know where it is.
You didn't eat
for
it.
This, you had to interrupt the
Yes!
thing?
Okay, I need to know if I need to make it for Yantif. Okay, thank you.
Ma, is it weird when you listen back to this? Like you're listening to, right? It's like a shtickle kind of Facebook meta, right? Okay, where were we? All right. Where were we again? So I believe when it comes to a field, muchkeres chachirus, I think it's better renting a field. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this came up in Bava Metzia. Ooh, Bava Metzia. So this came up in Bava Metzia, and I looked it up quickly the other day. I think chachirus by Bava Metzia, I think it's just a rental, I think, by property. But here we're talking about a cow, and it seems to be talking about more of like a sharecropping kind of thing. Like, you gave the cow to somebody else, and then whatever value, I guess maybe milk, they would split it. And then muskeres is if it was a rental. So there's some kind of value coming in to the father, but the father's now dead. So the children. So there's like some kind of income coming in from this rented out, or I don't know, chachirust out a cow. So again, that would be divided among the estate, with the firstborn getting a double portion. Fine. Or if the cow is grazing in the rushes down by the riverside and is nom nom nom, and it was eating, and it had a baby, and so with that child, with the baby, with the calf, so it would be divided among the children, with the firstborn receiving a double portion. But if they built houses, v'notu kramim, or planted vineyards, ein b'chanoto pishnayim, meaning, so if the up until now we were talking about added value that came kind of on its own, right? The property itself increased in value. There was already, income coming in from the cow already. But here, this is if the children themselves invest their own energies and they invest the value of the property, and they build houses and in that way, they kind of are sort of the engine or whatever, kind of push the value is coming from them. Well, then if they themselves are creating this added value, so then the firstborn would not be entitled to a double portion of that value that they themselves created. So again, but if they themselves built houses, v'notu kramim, and planted vineyards, ein b'chanotel pishnayim, the firstborn will not receive a double portion in that. So now, tell me more about the forearm, the jaws, and the stomach. If the father, when he was alive, had already received these, what's called matnos kehuna, had already received these, somebody had slaughtered an animal and had already given him the Zohar l'chayayim v'akeva. So of course, obviously, they would inherit it, and the firstborn would get a double portion. And if the father had not received these, well, then they are not part of the estate. Ro'ihu, even if he receives it later on, even if it, I guess after his death he received it, well, that would be considered something that, right, it's not muhzak, right? He didn't have it at the time that he died. It was something that was coming to him. Let's say, I don't know, it was already, whatever, he was going to get it, but he didn't have it yet. So then it's ro'i, ve'en b'abchor noto b'roi k'b'muhzak. And the firstborn doesn't receive a double portion in what is sort of befitting to come to the father. He only receives a double portion in what the father actually has at the time of his p'tirah. So well, here we're talking about a scenario where basically you had certain people that when they would slaughter their animal, they would always give it to this particular kohen. Right? There was this particular kohen, right? People would just, he was the address. That if you, at least for certain people, I don't know, but whatever it was, I don't know, let's say the next door neighbor, every time the next door neighbor slaughtered an animal, the Zohar l'chayayim and Keva went to this particular kohen. And the animal was already slaughtered before the father died. So Kilo, at the time that the father died, sure, he hadn't yet technically received the Zohar l'chayayim and Keva, but the animal was already, the next door neighbor already slaughtered an animal. Memele, the matnas kuna was going to this kohen who then died. So because over, and the Tana of this Brisa holds matana shlahurmu kemi shahurmu damu, that matnos kahuna that have not yet been matnos kahunad, it's as if they have already been matnos kahunad, and therefore it's like the father had already received them, and the children inherit them, and the firstborn child receives a double portion. Mukdashin lav dideinenu. We said that also the firstborn son will receive a double portion of mukdashin, of hekdish. So how could that be? Lav dideinenu. But hekdish is not the property of, right? If I makdish a korban ola or something, so right, I'm going to bring a korban ola. That animal doesn't belong to me. It's hektish. It's din me'ila. So how could what does it mean that the children inherit it and the firstborn gets a double portion? Well, it's talking about kachim kalim. He says, I'm going to bring a korban shlomim, which is kachim kalim. And as we've seen before, the opinion of Rabbi Yossi Aglili, the Amr Mammon Bailamu. Rabbi Yossi Aglili says kachim kalim belongs to the owner. Titanis within the price. Umoala ma'al ba'ashem l'rabus kachim kalim. Then when it says umoala ma'al ba'ashem by a oshum gezelos, when he says that he didn't steal it and he swears, but really he did steal it. So I guess if he's swearing about kachim kalim and then he admits it, so then so he has to bring a oshum gezela, and that would even apply to kachim kalim because it's considered mammon bailim. Shehein kachim kalim shehein mammon bailim. Div Rabbi Yossi Aglili, that's Rabbi Yossi Aglili's opinion. Okay, fine. So so we could say that the children would inherit, and the firstborn would get a double portion by kachim kalim. Fine. We said that if you have an animal that, if the father had an animal that was rented out or chachirused out by somebody else, and then there was sort of income coming from that cow, so that income would be divided among the children, and the firstborn son would receive a double portion. Or if it was grazing in the rushes down by the riverside, and it had a baby, so again that baby would be divided among the children, and the firstborn would receive a double portion. The firstborn son receives a double portion. 1 second. If already the Brisa said that a cow that was chachirused out or was rented out, that it's not, right, at the time that the father died, the cow was not in his possession, it was rented out, it was chachirused out. Omar Chokil, and we say that income will be divided among the children and the firstborn receives a double portion. Roya ba'ofer miboya, when it's grazing in the rushes down by the riverside, and it has a baby, obviously, right, the children would divide it up, and the firstborn son will receive a double portion. It's still in his possession. It's not rented out to anybody. It's still his. So Kamashma, what it's come to teach us is the muhkeres and muskeres dumya de roya ba'ofer, that we're comparing muhkeres and muskeres to roya ba'ofer. My roya ba'ofer shvachet memele ka'asi v'lo ka'chasu b'mazona, that just like when the cow is grazing in the rushes down by the riverside, and it's the brothers are not investing anything in its food, doesn't have to pay for its food or anything. It's feeding itself. It's grazing in the rushes down by the riverside. It's got all the food that it could ever dream of. So when it comes to when it's rented out and chachirused out, so also that when we say that they will divide it up and the firstborn receives a double portion, it's because the brothers don't have to invest anything in its food. But if the brothers did have to invest in its food, well then the firstborn would not receive a double portion in that case. Okay, Azoy. So now money. The Gemara asks, who's the author of this brisa? Because the brisa had said that if the property, the estate of if the father's estate increases, so then if the value of the estate increases, then the firstborn receives a double portion. Whose opinion is that? Rebbe. It is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda Anosi. The Tanya is within the brisa, Ein bechor notel pishnayim b'shevach sheshibchu nichosim la'achar misas avin. Because the Tana Kama says in this brisa that a firstborn does not receive a double portion in the if the estate, in the increased value of the estate after the father dies. Rebbe Omer Ani, Rebbe says, I say b'chor notel pishnayim b'shevach sheshibchu nichosim la'achar misas avin, that the firstborn does receive a double portion in the increased value of the estate after their father passes away. Aval, but lo b'shevach she'ishbichu yisomim lachar misas avein. But like we said earlier, if the brothers invested in the property and increased its value in that way, they built houses, they planted vineyards on the property, well then the firstborn does not have a right to a double portion in that investment of theirs. Okay, continues the Brisa. Yarshu shtar chov b'chor noto pishnayim. And this is the opinion of Rebbe. The Rabbanan argue, but continues Rebbe, and he says that if the children, if the brothers inherited a loan, right? The father had loaned money to somebody else, so the brothers inherit that loan, i.e., it can be collected. So also there as well, when the loan is collected, the Bechor receives a double portion in the payment. I believe tomorrow, depending on where we stop today, I think probably tomorrow's daf, we're going to get into some more details around that payment. So now listen to this. So just like when just like when there is a loan document, the firstborn son receives a double portion in the payment of the loan, in the receiving of the payment. But also, if it turns out that their father owed money, he had borrowed money, and now they need to pay, so the firstborn needs to pay a double portion because the loan is meshub, right? The loan is meshubah to the estate. Did I get that? The estate is meshubah to the loan. Probably the estate is meshubah to the loan. So it's all of the father's property that's meshubah to the loan, and therefore it has to come, right? The payback comes from all of the property. And if the if the firstborn received a double portion of the property, well, then he's also needs to, provide a double portion of the payment of the loan, of the payback of the loan. But if he says that, you know what, I don't want to receive a double portion of the estate, and also I won't pay a double portion of any potential debt or father, well then Rasha, he can do that. Okay. Givaldig. Azoy. My time with the Rabbanon. What's pshat with the rabbis? How come the rabbis say that the Bechor does not receive a double portion in the increased value to the estate? Right? The rabbis say the firstborn does not receive a double portion in the increased value to the estate. Because the Pasuk says, Loses loy pishnayim. Loses, to give, like a gift, right? Not to inherit, but to give. He gives it as a gift. The firstborn receives the double portion as a gift. That double portion is considered a gift. Matono kari rachmono. The Torah calls this double portion a gift that the firstborn receives. Ma matone adematio liyode. And just like a gift, right? One can only give a gift that he has. Now, the increased value to the estate that increases after the father's death, the father can't give that as a gift because it wasn't his at the time that he died. And therefore, so just like a gift, you can only give something that you have. Also, the double portion of the Bechora, the firstborn can only receive that as a double portion, that which the father actually had, not increased value post death. The Rebbe Omer, Rebbe, who says that the firstborn would receive a double portion in that increased value. On my crop pishnayim. Well, the pasuk says a double portion, that we compare each portion that the firstborn receives to each other, right? He receives two portions, and they're treated the same. That we compare the portion that he received, the extra portion that he receives for being a firstborn, we compare that to the regular portion that he receives for being a regular guy, for being one of the brothers. Well, just like the regular portion that he receives, he would receive, even though it's only coming after his death, right? Just like all the brothers would receive that value. So also the chelik of the bechora, he will receive, even though it had not yet been the father's at the time of the death. Now the rabbis who say that the firstborn would not receive the double portion from the increased value, what about the fact that it says pishnayim, that we compare both portions? So the mesav lei achad mitzra. Well, that is like another halacha that we've learned. Where did we learn this halacha? On Daf Yud Beis. That, well, say you have 3 fields, right? And they're in like one row. You have 3 fields, and you have 2 brothers. One of them is a bechor, one of them is not. So the bechor gets 2 of the 3 fields. And we say that he receives 2 fields that are adjoining, right? Meaning he wouldn't receive the outer fields, in which case there's like, so the non-bechor would have the middle field, and the bechor would have the 2 outer fields. That would be inconvenient because his field is like broken up. So rather we're saying that we compare the 2 portions, right? It says Pishnayim, we compare his regular portion and his firstborn portion, that's just like his regular portion is 1 portion. So also when you add the the additional portion, the Pishnayim, it's also going to be 1 big field, i.e. if you have 3 fields in a row, so he would receive the middle field together with one of the outer fields, not the 2 outer fields which are broken up. Mitzra, to say that they should be adjoined. And Rebbe, what about the fact that it says lo, which is like a gift? Well, that's to teach that if he says, well, I don't want to receive my double portion, and then I also won't have to be liable for any double portion of any debts that our father had, he's allowed to do that. Now the Yerusha, in inheritance, somebody inherits automatically. You can't say, I'm not inheriting. He inherits it. After that, he can give it as a gift, he can be mafkir, do whatever he wants. But like memele, he inherits the inheritance. But a gift, a person can just say, no, I don't want to receive this gift at all. So therefore, Rebbe says that it's considered a gift in that he could say, look, I don't want to receive the double portion at all, and he can do that. Amar Papa says, Papa dikla ve'olim. If you have a palm tree that kind of gets starker, so it's like kind of a small palm tree and becomes a strong palm tree. Arav va'asik sirto, and if you have land and it got like very, very fertilized, nice and stark, everyone agrees that the firstborn would receive a double portion in that. It was already a palm tree and it just became a stronger palm tree. It was a field and it got fertilized. In this case, yeah, the firstborn, everyone agrees the firstborn would receive a double portion in that. Kiplige, where they argue is bachafura vehava shuvli. If you have like grasses that then became wheat, so it actually like changed names. It was grass, now it's wheat. Shlupvi v'shlupfe vehava vavu tamir. You had like date blossoms that became actual dates. So like it actually like there was like a chemical reaction. I don't know if that would be considered a chemical reaction, but there was a change. It was a bud and now it's a date. So Rebbe would say, well, it's shvachad memela. A date blossoms and become a date. A wheat grass is going to become wheat. So memela. So therefore, the bechor would have a right to a double portion in that improvement. Just like when you have a regular palm tree that gets stronger. Whereas the Rabbanim would say, no, it changed, right? It was just a grass, now it's a wheat. It was a blossom, now it's a date. So therefore, it's an under azach, it's a different thing, and the bechor would not receive a double portion in that according to the Rabbanim. Omer Rabba bar Bachana Omer Reb Chia. Says Rabba bar Bachana, the name of Reb Chia. Also Kediva Rebbe, also Kediva Chacham also. Okay, if he does like Rebbe, Matoiv Manoim. Okay, if he does like Rebbe, So beseder, right? If the firstborn receives a double portion in if the firstborn receives a double portion in the increased value of the estate, beseder. If you do like the rabbis and he doesn't receive a double portion, oichet beseder. Mistapkele, because he's uncertain. Do we say that when there's a machlokes between Rebbe and somebody else, so we paskin like Rebbe, but if it's between Rebbe and many other people, then we don't paskin like Rebbe. I.e., Rebbe against the Chachamim, we would paskin like the Chacham, not like Rebbe. Or maybe we say that just like when it's Rebbe versus another Tana, we would paskin like Rebbe. Or when it's Rebbe versus many others, we would still paskin like Rebbe. He wasn't sure, and therefore he says, look, if you do like Rebbe Azoy, if you do like the Chachamim Oichet Azoy. Omar Rav Nachman, Omar Rav. Osir lasas kediv Rebbe. Osir. You can't do like Rebbe. That when we say that halacha is like Rebbe, it's against one other Tana, not against many others. For Rav Nachman Didei Omar, and Rav Nachman himself says, Mutter lasas kediv Rebbe, you're allowed to do like Rebbe, because Rav Nachman holds that the halacha is like Rebbe, even when it's against the Chachamim. Omar Rava says, Rava also lasas kediv Rebbe, it's also to do like Rebbe, vim also asui kasav matin itmar. But even though it's also to do like Rebbe, if you did it, it's okay. Just leave it. Kasav matin itmar, because he holds that when we say the halacha is like the Chachamim, it's matin. It's it's not like 100%. What is this? Matin or kach nemar bebeis hamedrash matin es hadin acher chachamim ladun kein lechatchila lechatchila umiu avad krebi avad v'lo majin and uvda. Okay, matin means keilu the halacha is like the chachamim, but if you did like Rebbe, okay, say it. We're not going to make you go back. All right. Tani Rav Nachman b'shar Sifrei Devei Rav. So Rav Nachman taught in the Shar Sifrei Devei Rav. What's the Shar Sifrei Devei Rav? Well, we're going to learn in Masechta Sanhedrin, which we're going to learn next, and Daf Pevav. So we have a few months into Masechta Sanhedrin. It says that Stam Sifra is Rabbi Yehuda. Sifra is the Braise of Toras Kohanim on Sefer Vayikra. And if I understand the Rashbam correctly, what he's saying is that Sifrei are basically the Medrash halacha on Bamidbar and Devarim. I think what the Rashbam is saying, and also Mechilta, which is on Shmos. That when it says Shar Sifrei Devei Rav, so we're talking about the Medrash halacha on Bamidbar Devarim, and I think he's saying also Shmos. So now this comes from Devarim anyways. But okay, so Tani Rav Nachman. So Rav Nachman taught b'shar Sifrei Devei Rav in Sifrei. Right, so we say in Masechta Sanhedrin, Stam Sifrei is Reb Shimon. We say Stam Mishnah is Reb Meir. Stam Tosefta is Reb Nechemia. V'chulei alibo de Reb Akiva. Now all of them though are teaching the halachas of their Rebbe, Reb Akiva. Okay. Now. So Tani Rav Nachman b'shar Sifrei Devei Rav b'chol asher yimatzei loy, that which will be found to the father, prat l'shevach sheshbichu yorshin acher misazaven, to exclude, however, that the first one would not receive a double portion in value that the sons themselves invested in the estate, like we've been saying. Aval shevach sheshibchu nechasim lacher misazaven shakil. But the value to the estate itself, the increased value to the estate itself, the firstborn would receive a double portion in that. Umani Rebbe, and that's the opinion of Rebbe Tani, who was taught Tani Rabbi Bar Chama b'shar Sifrei Devei Rav. Rabbi Bar Chama taught by the Shar Sifrei Devei Rav b'chol asher yimatzei lo prat l'shevach sheshibchu nechasim lachem misasavian, that actually excludes the increased value to the estate after the father died, to the estate itself. And certainly that which the brothers improved the estate by building houses, by planting vineyards, certainly the firstborn would not receive a double portion in that. Telo shakil umani Rabbanon he, that of course would be the opinion of the rabbis. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, says Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Now this, it's hard to figure out where exactly to stop today, because it's all kind of like building, kind of all the stuff that we started with already from the beginning of the daf today, kind of builds really until throughout tomorrow, maybe even the next day as well. So it's hard to kind of know where to stop, but at the same time, like tomorrow, there's going to be things that we're going to have to know from today. All right, but let's go a little bit weiter. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, says Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, Ein bechor notel pi shnayim b'milveh. Okay, so we had said earlier today that this was the opinion of Rebbe, that a bechor, so Rebbe had said that a bechor does receive a double portion in a loan that their father lent to somebody else and they pay it back. So the firstborn receive a double portion in that. Says Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, Ein bechor notel pi shnayim b'milveh, that a bechor does not receive a double portion in a loan, right? And Suleiman. So who's that based on? Ilim the Rabbanon. What if we're going to say that's according to the rabbis? Well, hashta shvacha deise birshuse amir Rabbanon lo shakil. Well, 1 second. That's obvious, right? Because the rabbis say that value, that increased value to the estate, which they already have, it's in their possession right now. The bechor, according to the rabbis, does not receive a double portion. Milveh mibaya, a loan that they currently are not in possession of, that is going to be paid back, certainly the firstborn would not receive a double portion in that. That's obvious. The Rebbe, rather, okay, if we say it's Rebbe then, and we're saying that he would not receive a double portion in the loan, but ve'elo adetani, that was shown in the Brisa, yarshu shtarchov b'chor noto pishnayim, that if the children inherit a loan that their father had lent to somebody, the firstborn would receive a double portion, bein b'milva, bein b'ribis. Whether we're talking about the principal amount, whether any interest, right? This would be a loan that they had lent to an ovid kochovim. So you receive a double portion both in the principal amount plus any interest. So money. So who's the author of that price? Lo Rebbe v'lo Rabbanon. If we say that Rebbe says that the firstborn does not receive a double portion in the loan, well then who's the author of this brisa? So the olam l'Rabbanon. Okay, so really this brisa which says that the firstborn does not receive a double portion in the loan is the rabbis. Okay, now wasn't that obvious though? Because after all they say that he does not receive a double portion in the estate that they already have. Be'etztrich, we need it. Sagadati Chamina may have thought milve kem dunokit shtore keman degabyo damyo. Well, I may have thought that the loan, since they have something, they actually do have something right now. They have a loan document. So maybe it's considered like it's already collected, and therefore he should receive a double portion in it. So therefore we need to teach that no, according to the rabbis, he would not receive a double portion in the loan. Okay, where are we? What time is it? Okay, I should probably stop here, and I probably need a break for Shabbos now. All right, Azoi. Okay. So we're going to stop here. Yeah, we got into some interesting stuff about the double portion stuff with the matnas kahuna and kochim kalim, and then we got into loans and potential value and things like that. We saw some interesting machlokas. We saw machlokas in Rebbe and the Rabbanon about does a firstborn receive a double portion in the increased value to the estate. The rabbis say no. Rebbe says yes. And then we saw, does a firstborn receive a double portion in a loan that is collected? The rabbis say no. Rebbe says yes, and tomorrow we're gonna get into a little bit more details depending on how the loan was paid back. Was it with money? Was it with property? Peace out.